on the move. It's been, speculated for a while about the possibility. What was the original hesitance and why was now the time to pull the trigger?
I don't know if there's ever an original hesitance. I'm not sure where that narrative came from, to be honest, Michael. I think this is something that you do your due diligence on. We're always doing our due diligence around the league. What players may be available, what players we would like to target, and so forth. And the timing was right. The timing was right for us. And fortunately, anytime you get an opportunity to acquire or try to acquire a player of this caliber, it's something you've got to look hard at. And that's certainly something we did. And the process sped up very, very rapidly and very quickly over the last sort of 48 hours.
Malika Andrews, ESPN.
Hey, Sean. When initially Kevin and Kyrie came to Brooklyn, there was this discussion about folding them into the Brooklyn Nets culture that had been built over years. And now the coach that helped build that is gone. Many of the players that helped build that are gone. Is it at a point where you guys are now looking to build a new culture, or are you looking at guys like Joe to be the standard bearers in that way to continue what you started?
Yeah, hi, Malika. A great question. And to be quite frank, I don't think anybody has the exact answer to that. I think, as I've said before, your culture's got to be constantly evolving. The minute we are stagnant, or anybody for that matter, in any industry says, hey, our culture is what it is and it's fixed and it's done, I think that's going to be the demise, because other teams, other franchises, other industries will catch up to you. And I think for us, our goal ultimately is to put out a championship contender, and have some sustainable success. That's what we want to do. And hence that's what brought us to this opportunity now. And that's all the different building blocks along the way, and how your culture still continues to evolve, and how it has evolved over 5 years. What we set out for 5 years ago with our culture was that it was the buzzword. We want to build a culture. We want to build a culture. And I think that's still true to this day. We still want to build a culture. The players may look a little differently. Some of the staff looks a little different, and so forth. But we have multiple culture drivers here, and that's what we're constantly looking for. And they will hopefully take us to the next level of where this franchise needs to be and wants to be.
Brian Lewis, New York Post.
Hey, these trio of stars, two of them, some would contend, have been kind of high maintenance over the past week or so. I'm curious, how much of a challenge is that to get three outsized personalities meshing and defending? And then when you have a rookie coach, I guess, how much of an ask is that for Steve?
Yeah, look, I think whenever you're meshing personalities, I think we've got to wait and see how this all fits on the floor and so forth. I think these guys have given us the right answers. They've said, hey, they want to play together. They can see this fitting. And I think they're at a time in their careers. I don't want to speak for each one of them, because I'll let them have their own voice and their own narrative around this. But I think they understand that there's without a doubt going to be some nights where one or two need to sacrifice for the other and so forth. But I think they're all looking for that common goal. We're all looking for that common goal, as I've said before, is to be the last team standing. And I think when you have a group that is willing to sacrifice and play hard, play together on the court, and they already have a relationship, a prior relationship to this. So I think that will help. We're not bringing guys in here that, the level of play that they are, that don't know each other from the past. So they have previous relationships will certainly help here.
Bruce Beck, NBC New York.
Sean, you have talked in the past about not marketing the future for the present. So what changed here?
Again, I think it's a building step to where we are. And, it's a tough decision without a doubt. When you're sitting here saying, look, we're going to have to trade away X amount of picks and to be quite frank, give away players that I truly loved. Our franchise loved those guys. So there's a huge thank you to Karis and Jarrett and Rodion and Torian for everything they've done. And, the narrative has been that their fingerprints are all over this. That's been over this, this building, this franchise for as long as they've been here, and they'll continue to be part of our family. And, but again, we have to make these hard decisions. it's never easy. It certainly wasn't easy yesterday when I had to talk to these players at the end of the day. And I don't want to make light of that situation, that it's, well, we had to do this just to win a championship and so forth. There comes a lot of thought and a lot of process went into this, and a lot of collaboration through a variety of levels, from ownership to the coaching staff, front office. Everybody had a say in this. And, we don't take light that we had to make, some pretty tough decisions, without a doubt.
Greg Logan, Newsday.
Sean, in that same vein about the future, you inherited a situation where you were bankrupt in terms of draft picks, and now you've given up control of the next 7 years of first. Why did you feel that was worth it? And second of all, did the Dinwiddie injury impact your ability to hang on to some of those picks?
Yeah, well, I would say this. We're not bankrupt right now. So there's still multiple ways to build. I think this group has shown some resilience in how to build, and we've continued to build, and we will continue to build with or without the picks that we may or may not have now. And we'll show resilience through all of this. I think it's very unfortunate, obviously, Spencer's injury, but we also need to capitalize, on the window and what's right in front of us right now, where that's why some of these decisions have to be made when they have to be made. And, we're looking forward to getting this group out there. As far as Spencer's concerned, his rehab is progressing well, and we wish him obviously nothing but the best, and keeping a close eye on him, under our watchful eye for sure.
Alex Schiffer, The Athletic.
Hey, Sean. Steve had said throughout preseason camp how, he hadn't really gone heavy on installing an offense and spoke more on the defensive side with things. Do you think you guys are better equipped to kind of bring a caliber like James's player on, given that you don't have to reinvent the wheel and overhaul a system? The wheel was still being built, so to speak.
Yeah, sure. I think we know what James is capable, on the court. We've seen that when you're bringing in, MVP, first NBA team caliber player, he knows what he's capable of doing. And then when, we've had conversations with him, and, he's so eager to get on the court with these guys and be part of this and start fresh. So there's an excitement. I know our group is excited. Our coaching staff is excited. Again, when we brought in Kai and Kevin, you're learning from them. You're learning how they want to play, because there's no defense that they haven't seen already. And the same thing for James. So we're going to be learning from James, and, he'll be adding his piece, his thoughts and process to Steve, and helping Steve and the coaching staff out there. But there's already a prior relationship there as well.
Howard Beck, Sports Illustrated.
Hey, Sean. Curious if you have any update on Kyrie Irving, and tangential that are related to that. Did the situation surrounding Kyrie, the ambiguity or any lingering concerns there, have any impact on the timing or urgency of making this trade?
Yeah, so to answer your second part there, no, they're completely separate from one another. Kyrie's absence and, the personal issues that he's dealing with, it has nothing to do with us, going after and attaining James Harden in this. Regarding Kyrie and when he'll be hopefully back and rejoining the team, part of that is going to be up to the NBA, and we're waiting for them to come out with, so they're ruling on the health and safety protocols. Hopefully we'll have a ruling soon. I have talked to Kyrie, so I know he's excited about getting back on the court with his teammates, as soon as possible.
Christian Winfield, New York Daily News.
Hey, Sean. I'm just wondering if there was anything you were looking for in particular from the group that you had that you didn't see that maybe led you to pull this trade off, or kind of was this trade already something that was going to happen in your mind at the beginning of the season? It was only just a matter of time. And second, given everything that you gave up to get James Harden, would it be fair to characterize not making the finals or not winning the finals as a failure this season?
Well, I don't want to get into what's a failure and what's not. I think everybody knows, what this team is positioned and capable of potentially doing. We've got to get everybody gelling, get everybody on the same page. And I don't know if that takes 2 games, 10 games, 20 games, whatever it is, but there's certainly the talent there. Without a doubt, the roster is not done. It's not finalized. I mean, it should really never be, to be quite frank. We've got to be doing our due diligence. We have open roster spots. So, I have utmost faith in our scouting department that over the years has done a tremendous job for us. And, we'll continue to try and add pieces as we go through the season. Regarding the trade, whether we knew this was going to be done at the beginning of the season, absolutely not. And, this was something that came around relatively quickly, sped up very fast. But at the end of the day, it goes back to when you have the opportunity to add James Harden to your roster, you're certainly going to do your due diligence, and you can do everything you possibly can to try and make that happen.
Tina Cervasio, Fox 5.
Sean, did you, I don't know what the word is, if find it alarming or did it draw any concern when you heard Harden essentially call out his teammates on the Rockets saying that they were not good enough the other night? And how much with that do you consult with Mike D'Antoni on your staff after him just coaching Harden the last couple of years?
Well, it's certainly beneficial having Mike and somebody who knows, James very well and has coached him for the last couple of years for sure. So, I don't read too much into that. I think, again, I don't want to speak for James or any of our players for why they say the things they say. Look, they've got their own voices, they've got their own brands, and these guys are grown men, and there's reasonings behind everything. I think, we've certainly weighed in all the intel and all the factors about, you hope to make the best decision and bring in the right people and the right fits and so forth. But again, what we're looking for is, we have some high expectations. I'm not going to wane from that or that's why we brought in who we have here. And that includes the coaching staff as well. So it's a group, a combined effort of collaboration between players and coaches, without a doubt.
Brian Mahoney, Associated Press.
Hi, Sean. One, do you know when James will be eligible to play for you guys? And two, both he and Kyrie have kind of maybe not shown a full commitment to playing basketball this year. When you make a trade like this, that's certainly an all-in kind of move. How do you know you've got guys you can really go all in with?
Well, we would hope James will be able to play as soon as all the players involved in this pass their physicals. So we know James is landing. He'll be in Brooklyn today. So, we'll go through our physicals here and hopefully he'll be cleared to play as soon as possible. Again, regarding all these guys' commitment to play, I mean, all I can tell you is I've enjoyed the conversation I had with James last night. And I look forward to getting to know him just as our players and staff certainly do. And I like what I heard. And I think he's looking for a fresh start. And I think these guys are going to have to sacrifice without a doubt, but they're also going to push us. They're going to push our franchise and hopefully take us to where we need to go.
Taylor Rooks, Turner Sports.
Hey, so I know there's been, a lot of discussion about the personalities on the team, how everybody's going to mesh, but can you tell me what kind of conversations you maybe had with the guys specifically about that?
Taylor, are you the guys on the current roster, or are you talking about James?
Current roster and James.
Sure. I think some of those conversations certainly need to be private, but at the end of the day, I'm going to talk to, our players about adding, whether it's a deal like this of this magnitude, certainly involves, collaboration, and, they understand what's at stake here. Everybody's raised their hand and said, look, we're in, we know what we're shooting for here. And that includes, James, the new player, he knows what's at stake. And I think, again, I'm also banking on his prior relationship with Kevin. I think those guys, have likely stayed in contact, over the course of the last, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. So they know each other very well. They know, and we're going to bank on that coming here and hopefully speeding up that process.
Tom Dowd, BrooklynNets.com.
Hey, Sean, as you said, you've got the 3 open roster spots now. You're also down some guys due to injury. So do you have a timetable? Do you feel quickly to answer? And do you have some specific needs you feel like you need to target now?
Yeah, I think I missed some of that, Tom, but I don't think we're in any immediate rush. I think we've got to do our due diligence. Look around the league, look at who's available, and so forth. And again, also look at this group and see how they play together and see what our needs may be and so forth. But we'll work hand in hand with the coaching staff on this, just to see where our holes are. As I mentioned before, the roster's not complete. We know that. We're going to have to tinker. We're going to have to play around here, and again, utmost faith in the group that we have that's going to be able to find guys elsewhere, and we'll see where it may go.
Back to Greg Logan, Newsday.
Sean, I appreciate that you've talked to Harden, but he's a different player than he was back when he teammates with Durant. And so did you specifically talk to him about, his usage rate, how much he might have to sacrifice in terms of his statistics, being the leading scorer the past 3 years, and how much he might have to share the ball with Kyrie? How much did you drill down on those specific things?
Yeah, Greg, I never had to bring that up with any of them because they brought it up, and they were the ones to bring it up right off the bat, which was they want to win. That's all I heard from James is I want to win. I'm all about winning, and I'll let him reiterate that, when he does his media. But at the end of the day, that's what we need to hear, and that's the level of sacrifice that these guys know. And each one of these guys we know is capable of, leading a team, being the star player on the team and so forth. And, there'll be nights when each one has that opportunity, maybe two, maybe all three have that opportunity in any nights, who knows? But, there's another group of players, let's not count out that are going to be playing alongside these three. And, I really like the group that's there and what they're bringing to the table too. So I certainly don't want to forget the pieces that are around, as you guys called it, the big three, because there's other pieces here that we will certainly be relying on without a doubt.
Malika Andrews, ESPN.
Sean, at what point in this process did you, or was it not until after that you, I don't know if told or consulted or spoke to Kyrie and Kevin, and then, the rest of the guys about pulling the trigger on this trade?
I spoke to Kai and Kevin yesterday as this was going down, getting their thoughts, and really wanting to hear, what their commitment was going to be, what their conviction for this was, and I know Joe Tsai had the same conversations. So from multiple levels, again, it gets back to I enjoyed hearing that conviction, and we've got some time to see how it translates onto the court. I don't know that it's immediate. I think that's putting maybe too much pressure for these guys. It's going to take some time. We're going to have to get everybody up to speed and so forth. But again, I'm looking forward to seeing what the product looks like, out on the court soon.
Bruce Beck, NBC New York.
Sean, how important is it to have these three stars under contract for the near term?
Very. I think that's great. I think we know the window that is upon us, and it's certainly exciting to know that. Look, for the foreseeable future, we have them here. We've re-signed Joe Harris this summer, so there's some other pieces to this group that we know we're going to be able to roll with for a while here, and that'll be exciting. We need to build continuity within that group and camaraderie, and that'll come the more opportunities to practice. And I think we've all seen how few and far those practices come by. So the games are going to be our practice, and with the current sort of climate around COVID, there isn't the opportunities to go and break bread as we would have done in the past and so forth. So the sooner we can get each other around each other, that'll be the best thing for this group.
Christian Winfield, New York Daily News.
Sean, obviously James is going to come in and replace a lot of the production that Karras brought. But in terms of replacing Jared Allen's impact, just how, number one, just watching him grow into the center he's become over these years, can you just talk about that, and how are you going to replace that impact that he's had on this team on the defensive end?
Yeah. Well, I think, just take a step back first to look at what Karras and Jarrett, for example, both those guys have brought to our franchise, over the last 4 or 5 years. Has been nothing short of incredible. Amazing young men, and the respective teams that they're now heading to are certainly extremely lucky and fortunate to have them, because I'm very proud, and I think I speak for the entire organization. They will be sorely missed. We care for them and their families dearly. Replace them. I'm not sure that you do. I don't think you just go out there and get another Karras. I don't think you get another Jarrett Allen. You hope to try and replace some of their production in a variety of different ways. And that's not easy. James, as you mentioned, will certainly, replace some of the scoring that's going out the door with Karras, without a doubt, and ball handling abilities and so forth. And I look at replacing JA as this is an opportunity for other people. This is a great, hopefully a confidence builder for them. This is a great opportunity so people can seize this moment and take their games to another level. We've seen that in the past when, whether it's through injuries or trades, other people have used this as a platform to really step up. And to be quite frank, we brought it up before, Spencer's been one of those guys. We've seen Spencer in the past, thrive with the ability to have the ball in his hands and really capitalize on that. And, we hope other guys on this team will do the same, and also the people we bring in the future.
Jonathan Fagan, Houston Chronicle.
Sean, when did you first get a sense that James was wanting to move and therefore could be available, and that your guys would want him to be part of the Nets? And then you mentioned that it came together rapidly in the past 48 hours. What triggered that? What got it moving the way it did?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think, we all read the media and we all read the scuttlebutt and the hearsay and so forth, just like everybody else. Like, what are we hearing around the league? And we're constantly, as a GM and my group of assistant GMs and so forth, we're always having constant conversations around the league, trying to get the temperature of, what teams may be looking for or what we're looking to try and accomplish and so forth. And then just over the last 48 hours, the conversations, with Houston certainly sped up, and they were just, more rapid in nature. And from there, it's like a snowball, took on its own world. And next thing you know, we're very fortunate to be sitting here looking at, James Harden amongst the Nets family.
Joe Varden, The Athletic.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, Joe.
I know that you don't really want to talk about this, but with Kyrie, we don't know why he's not there. But we've seen him in public at least twice, and you're talking to him about the future, and he's not there in the present. So I guess my questions are, why is this okay when you're trying to team build and you're trying to put together this totally new group? And then the second one is, you're making it sound like he's going to be back. Were you ever concerned that he wouldn't come back?
I think, again, to reiterate what Steve said before is, we're going to let Kyrie, address this in his own way. Without a doubt, I'm not going to shy away from it. Without a doubt, the organization's disappointed with not having, any one of our players, in this particular case, Kyrie, not amongst us, not, in the trenches with us and so forth. So, I don't want to speculate and say why he's out and so forth. I've had conversations with him, and I'll continue to have conversations, and we look forward to him, being back in the gym where, he will address this, and, we'll sit down with him. He's part of our family. This group is part of our family, and we'll continue to build, with the group that's here. You asked if it's okay that people miss time. I think it's been well documented that, if there's reasonable excuses for their absence, fine. We have got to support, whether it's our players or whether it's our staff, and you would do that in any industry. But, you also hope there is an adequate, more than adequate excuse as to like why he needs personal time. And, he will address that without a doubt.
Last question for Sean, Brian Lewis with the New York Post.
Hey, Sean, following up on that, then I guess this is twofold. You said you would hope that there is a more than adequate excuse. Do I presume then that organizationally, the team's perspective is that Kyrie's excuse, whatever it is more than adequate? And secondly, you said he's excited to come back, but this isn't in his hands or even your hands totally. It's in the league's hands. Whenever the league clears him to come back, however long the quarantine is, if there is one, do you expect then him to go right back out on the court, or would that be for even further down the road?
I can tell you this, that Kyrie has been keeping up with his health and safety protocols and testing daily. So since he's been doing that, again, it's out of my hands. The league is reviewing. We look forward to addressing it with Kyrie when he's back, in our building, amongst his teammates, amongst his Nets family, and going from there.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.